Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Now today I wanted to talk about creating the perfect blog post. I wanted to take you right from how I write my blog posts, the different things that I put in there, right to how I share them. Now I think it's important to create the perfect blog post because these are posts that engage your audience, ones that catch their attention, keep their attention so they scroll through and read all of it, or at least most of it, and they're ones that give you opportunity to make money from ads as well as affiliate marketing. Now, not every blog post you create is going to be the perfect blog post, but it is good to know the general idea of how to create the perfect blog post so you can have those interspersed amongst your other blog posts. These will be the ones that drive the most income for your blog. Now, for me, we're going to be using my homeschool site once again as an example. Now, on that site, my income generating blog posts are my book lists. So I'm going to take you along. We are going to create a book list and I will show you the different things to include in a blog post, how I schedule it, how I share it, right from the beginning to the end of creating the perfect blog post. So right here I have my back end of my website, and this is where we'll be adding in a new post. So the first thing to think about is what you're going to name your post. You want it to be something that people are searching for, so that it will show up in Google search. So for this one, I'm going to show you how I created this post here, which is 12 of the best chapter books for grade 1. So I'm going to write that in here. If you watched my other video on great blog posts to write, one of them that I shared was a list. So for me, book lists do really well, and I know that putting a number in does really well on Pinterest, which I'll show you my Pinterest image later. So for me, people are often searching best books for grade 1. So here I have a number and I've got best books for grade 1. Okay, so once we have our title, then what I normally do is I have like an introduction to the blog post. For this one, I will just come here and I will copy over what I had and I'll explain why I do what I do. This was my introduction for this blog post. So I talked about how I recently shared my daughter's favorite chapter books from grade 4. And then what I did here is I made a link to that blog post. One thing I always like to do is to create links within my blog posts that lead to other blog posts. That keeps people on my website longer because they will go from post to post. And once they're on there longer, then they're more likely to come back, to sign up for my newsletter, do all those sorts of things. Another thing that you'll notice here is I have incredibly short paragraphs. It's pretty much every sentence is a new paragraph, which is not grammatically correct, but it breaks it up, gives it more paragraphs, which will in the end allow more space for ads. And as well, people, when they're reading blogs, they have short attention spans. People skim over large paragraphs, but they read short ones more frequently. I do this to keep their attention, as well as to make things easier, as well as to make things better for ads. So then I have a number of different paragraphs, and then what I always do is I leave a space for, this is just personal preference, I like spaces on the either side of my images that I put in my blog post. I don't know, I think it's just like I like the white space just for my brain. Yeah, total personal preference. So then what I will do is I will go in and insert my image that I always pin to Pinterest. For this one, it was this one here, chapter books for grade 1, and then I have a bunch of text here in this alt text section. When I pin this to Pinterest, this is what Pinterest takes, and it can be searched. These words are all searchable in Pinterest. So I have the best chapter books, audiobooks, and novels for grade 1. That's what this one is. So then I insert that into here. And I try not to have these images too big. Now this is too big. I like my Pinterest image to be 500 pixels wide, just so it doesn't take up too much space in the blog post. We'll get this one down to 500 or so. Okay, so then I've got my introductory text with a link in it. Then I have my Pinterest image. And then a good thing to have is a heading. People skim to headings, as well as Google uses headings when they're searching for things as well. So if you come over here, you'll notice that the heading I used, I had a couple more lines of text. Then the heading that I used is the best chapter books, read alouds, and audiobooks for grade 1. So that all works well for Google search. So I put that in there. It's heading 1, and I center it. Then, because I always like to leave white space at the end of a picture and at the end of a heading, then for me what I do is I come in and I list the books that fall in this category. So here it's chapter books for grade 1. So I do a picture, I do the title. Before the title, I kind of often, not always, have some like personal tidbit thoughts on the book. Then I have a description of the book, and then I do that for all the different books. I'm not going to add all that in here because I've already done it before, but I'm going to show you a few other things I do in this side of things, and then I'll go over to the blog post and I'll show you why I've done things the way I have. So I like to always add a feature image. And I also make sure that feature image has some text here that explains what the post is about. So here it's the same thing that I had for that Pinterest image. So this image is the very top of the post, and on my home page, which I'll show you here. So I have a couple posts already since then, one post since then. This is the image that people see on the homepage of my website. Okay, so I have my featured image, and then I always put it in a category. So here I have book lists, and this is elementary book list. It's also an audiobook list. And yeah, that would be all that one would be under. So once I have all this information about all these different books, at the end, often what I will do is like check out more book lists or more of our book lists. And I will give that a heading so it really jumps out. And then I'll go to my site and I will copy the link and paste that in so that people can get lost on my site and go from book list to book list so that they spend more time on my site. So now obviously this is a book list, and probably your site won't have book lists, but you might have other kinds of lists. Something that is important, I think, is to include a lot of pictures. It keeps people's attention, it makes more room for ads, and it just makes the posts look more appealing. So depending what kind of list you're creating, if you are using Amazon links, you could be using the pictures that they have there, or you could be using your own images. If it's something like it's a DIY project, let's say, or something, then you could have step-by-step instructions. Now, I don't think things do very well when you do 10 pictures in a row. I like to intersperse pictures with text and alternate back and forth, and that leaves more room for ads, as well as it breaks it up so people can read a few paragraphs, they can look at a pretty picture, they can read a few paragraphs, they can look at a pretty picture, and that has worked really well for me. So for me, for these book lists, all of the titles that are included here of the books are affiliate links. So anytime someone clicks over to the book title, they're sent to Amazon, and that is using my affiliate link. So even if they don't buy that book, but if they come back to Amazon anytime in the next 24 hours and they make a purchase, I get a portion of that sale. Even if they don't buy the thing that they click over from, it still helps me in the long run. So whenever I create lists, I always like to include Amazon affiliate links. So let's say I had this post all ready to go. I had everything written out, I had it how I wanted it, have my feature image, I have my categories figured out, I have links to my different pages on my site, I have my Pinterest image. Then what I'm going to do is I come over and I always schedule my posts, like 99% of the time. Now, like I recommend posting at least once a week on your blog, and usually like pick a day and stick to that day. So let's say I was posting it July 10th. I always post my blog posts and my YouTube videos at 6 o'clock my time. I don't really have a whole lot of reasoning for that. I haven't researched the timing. Mostly it is just because then when I wake up, I can promote whatever I've put up online that day, generally before my kids come up or are awake, or I can work on that in the first few hours of the day if they are awake. So that is why I do it that way, but you can easily figure out what works best for you. So I come over here, I'll schedule this for 6 o'clock, and I hit schedule. Okay, let's say that it was whatever this is, July 10th, and now our book list is live. So one thing you could do is you could schedule your sharing. So you could schedule this on Facebook. You could schedule it for Instagram. For the most part these days, I don't schedule my sharing. I don't share everything to Facebook anymore just because that's not a form of social media I enjoy, so I don't go on there very much, so I don't often share my stuff on there. For Instagram, I don't always share my posts in my feed, which you can schedule those. I use Hootsuite. I've used that to schedule a number of posts over the years and enjoy that, but for the most part I usually share them in my stories. So then when I wake up the morning that it's live, I will share this image, usually this Pinterest image that I created. I will share that to my stories as well as a link to the post. Now here's the thing, most of my traffic for my site comes from Pinterest. Pinterest is, off the top of my head, I would probably say like 90 to 95% of my traffic, probably like 90%. So I do pay $120 a year to have Pinterest pins scheduled. For me, that I make that up in less than a month. It is totally worth the cost. If you're just starting out, you can totally manually pin, but it takes a lot of time, and you'll notice here once I share what I do. So I would come in and I would pin this. Now I have a board on my Pinterest account that is for my intentional homeschooling site. So I would come here and I would look for my intentional homeschooling board and I would pin it here. Now I've already done that, so I'm not going to do that today. So that's what I do first thing. Then I always come in, so I have TAILWInd and I have the TAILWInd extension. So then I would come in and I schedule it. And I think I'll probably do a separate video on how I schedule my posts, but for the most part I select all the different boards that I want it to be on, and then I will select the interval at what I want them to post on. So I'll pick like 10 homeschool boards or boards that are applicable to homeschooling, and I will get it to pin every usually 5 to 6 days is how I have it scheduled. So every 5 to 6 days it goes on one of those boards. That way my pin that I created on July 10th could be going for like 8 weeks. If I pin it to 10 different boards, every week it's posting to another board. And the nice thing about Pinterest is, it's like you post it to Facebook and its lifespan only really goes for that day, maybe 2 days, and then it dies. With Pinterest, people share it, so the lifespan, the longer it's on Pinterest, actually the more things grow. So Pinterest, if you're not using Pinterest, you're wasting a really good resource in my opinion. So I just want to show you the actual blog post here. This one I posted a few days ago. So this is where it starts. We've got the featured image. Here are my categories, so people can click on these if they want to see more book lists that fall under those categories. I've got my title. Here I have a link to another post on my site. Here's my Pinterest image. This here is a video ad, and here is an ad as well as the bottom. Here's an ad over here. We'll just close that for now. And then you'll see, because I have so many books, pictures, as well as text, there are a lot of ads interspersed. So I get paid for every ad that is shown. So pretty much after every book or two, there's a new ad. So the longer your post is, physically between pictures and paragraphs, the more ads you'll have and the more money you'll make from ads. And because my books are linked with affiliate links, then the more chance I have of making affiliate money as well. And then here at the bottom I have check out all our book lists here, and then they can click here and they will be taken to the category of book lists. So then here's chapter books for girls, and then over here is the one that we just did, and then there's more books. So I think it's really important to know the perfect blog post, to know how to make the most money from your blog. But it's also important to know that not every post will be like this. If you look on my site, I'll often be like, here's what's working in our homeschool now, and it doesn't quite follow this exact formula. And that's okay, because I also want to infuse some of my personality on my site. But for me, it's important to have a number of these posts because they are what generates the most money from my blog as far as ads and affiliate money goes. So I like to have, like, my ideal is to have a book list week on my site. That does not always happen, but that is kind of like my goal. And this ensures that the traffic to my site is consistent because people are always pinning these on Pinterest, and the ad money's coming in and the affiliate money's coming in. And I often get emails from people who appreciate my book lists and, you know, are thankful that they're there. So obviously you need to think about how this will work for you in your niche and depending what your site is about. But I hope you can take this general idea and use it on your site to, you know, increase your ad income as well as your affiliate income, and then also just gain a loyal audience. If there are any blogging videos that you want me to do in the future, any topics that you want me to cover, let me know in the comments below and I will add them to my list. Thanks, guys!